yammering on here. So, Christy, when I was in high school, I had a couple summers and then part-time during the school year job with a local contractor, fellow Leo Bianchi. And Leo and his family lived up the street, and I was friends with his son Peter. And he was a general contractor and was building, one house at a time kind of thing. So I got a taste for what that was like. It was, it's hard work. But the reason why I bring that up is I hear so many stories and see so much press about um, new construction methods or 3D plastic printing of houses and so forth. But if I was dropped into a house construction site now, I would probably remember, I could probably do everything that they're doing in terms of hammering and sawing and two by fours and putting down the floor and wheelbarrows of concrete. I mean, things haven't changed that much, really.
Nope.
They
Not
haven't.
really.
Yeah.
Really, not no, not really, which is part of the problem with the workforce development. I mean, plumbers are still plumbers and electricians are still electricians. They haven't figured out ways for robots to create it or make it or, whatever else. So it's still human beings with a
Have,
lot of natural material still.
have you been in a 3D printed house?
I have not yet. I know that DR Horton has played around with it in certain regions, with actually Texas being one of them. But no, I've not been in one.
We've got a few in downtown Austin.
Have you been inside?
I've not been inside. I've looked from the outside. They look very different. But yeah, we've got a couple of them in Austin. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Would you want to live in one?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I would have to see what it looked like on the inside. And a lot of it for me would be about location, like how close is it to the golf course?
Priorities.
Priorities. Yeah,
All
I, I
right.
I have priorities. All right, I'm while we get everybody in, I've got a couple of trivia questions. Can I see if I can stump you guys? Okay. All right, let's do it. Christy, you probably know this one off the top of your head, but we talk a lot in mortgage about the cost of origination. And, a lot of that cost of origination has to do with, sales and labor force and kind of operational overhead that's required to get a loan through the process. Home builders have, also a lot of challenges with regulations adding on to their cost of construction. So I want to know the average cost of regulation for a new home.
Hold on, tight. 26%.
26%.
Are you
Rob,
looking for percent or dollar amount?
either
Give or
one.
t
I'll take either
give or
one.
take, depending on jurisdiction. That was the latest number that came out at the Builder Show, and just in February.
Okay.
Again,
I'll tell you,
California extremely heavy on the jurisdictional fees,
Yep.
but it can go as high as 26%. But
that's what an
I would,
amazing coincidence because I was going to say 26% as well.
yeah,
You
it,
copycat. From a dollar amount perspective, like if the average price of a home is, 390, 400,000, I mean, you're looking at over $90,000 in regulation.
yeah, and
Uh,
that includes obviously all the entitlement work you got to do with the regulations. I mean, everything included. Yeah.
yeah. So the development and the construction, not just
Yes.
necessarily the
Yes.
construction component. NAHB broke it down. I was looking at it just earlier today. NAHB broke it down. About $40,000 is the cost during development, and about $50,000 during construction, which is kind of
It's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah. Okay, what is I want everybody in the chat to chime in here because I want to see how many people know this answer. What's the actual size of a 2x4? Rob, what do
I,
you
I, I come very close to that.
think? 2x4? You think it's actually 2 inches by 4 inches?
No, I say I can what's in my head, what I would blurt out is probably very close to what it actually is.
Okay, well then tell me, what is it?
Oh, I thought you wanted people to chime in.
Oh
I
yeah,
do. They're
I
chiming
was,
in.
Oh,
yeah,
are they?
Got all sorts of answers.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna,
yeah.
I think it's like, I'm pretty sure it's like 1 3/4 by 3 3/4.
One, Christy,
Um,
what do you think?
I have heard this before. I'm going to go with, let me pick an answer in the audience. Tell me and I'll learn something today. How about that?
Okay. All right. So 1.5 by 3.5. So it actually takes off a 1/2 inch. Yes, we can phone a friend, Mike Cole. Yeah, so a lot of people got it right. Lots of
Yeah.
good in the chat. That was fun. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get us kicked off. We go ahead and get started. We good with that? Okay. All right, welcome everybody. Happy Friday. We are super excited to have you all join us today for the rundown. If we have not met before, my name is Melissa Langdale and I'm the president and COO of the Mortgage Collaborative. And each week, Rob Chrisman and I do this awesome, fun, hopefully experience for everybody called the Rundown and have some special guests with us. And Christy Beck is joining us today. Christy is currently the corporate director of sales and marketing at Caruso Homes, but you're also the president of the Raleigh-Wake County Home Builders Association, which is, are they still the largest HBA in the country?
Melissa, yes, of
Of
course.
course. Of course. I didn't want to
Yes.
claim it. I hadn't heard officially. So good.
No, yeah, we definitely are now. It was tight last year, but we've pulled ahead this year of you know, I think it's Spokane, Washington. They have a huge one, but
Do. Well, they also offered like builders insurance as a part of their membership too, from what I remember. But
they do, and we're getting ready to start that.
are you really? I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
North Carolina is going to be offering health insurance for builders.
That's very cool. Very
So,
cool. You obviously are super involved in NAHB
mhm.
as well as the Triangle Sales and Marketing Council. And for those of you that don't know, like Christy actually was awarded the Bill Molster Lifetime Achievement Award at NAHB as well. So this is a huge honor. So we're super excited to have you here with us and sharing all of your wealth of knowledge with us. So thanks for joining.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the Lifetime Achievement Award. And to mark that, Melissa, can you do that?
Let's see. Maybe. I think it's this. Yeah, there you go. There you go. There's
Christy,
some.
you didn't know that you were getting into a multimedia presentation. I,
No,
I
I'm
does
quite honored to be a part of this.
I have two basic questions. First off, well, I've got a few more than that. So sorry to take the stage here, Melissa, but
Go for it.
does Caruso Homes have its own mortgage company?
We do not. We partner with lenders.
So everybody on the call, including me, would crawl across a field of broken glass just to get builder business in the door. How do you pick which lenders to partner with?
That's a great question. Personally, we love our lender partners. We've been with several of them for many years, and it's worked out really well for us. But we're looking for a partnership where we can understand each other's nuances and how we operate day to day and how they operate. And that they have our best interest and we have their best interest when it comes to, but the main thing is the best interest of the homeowner getting to settlement. We all got to work together to make that happen. And we've worked with the lenders before that were not as responsive or not as urgent. And so it's almost like we could never meld together very well to get that partnership going. I think the bigger thing is having the urgency and putting, us first. I mean, we don't always have to be first. You don't have to drop everything you're doing, but if we're going to partner together, we do hope that we'll be prioritized, in your book of business to work hard to get our folks to the finish line. But understanding the nuances is key. I've got a couple of lenders, one in Maryland and one in Raleigh, that really understands our operation and how we get from start of home to finish of home. It's a he and a she. Each of them took the time to say, can I meet with your construction or can I meet with your team to get a better understanding so I can help explain to the buyer as you're communicating with them so that I can overcome an objection if, for example, they offer one. So I thought that was really cool. And they seem to score really well on all of our surveys. We just have a great partnership with them. So like I said, we've been lucky and we've had a long going relationship with a couple of different lenders and then either based on market needs or our on your lot platform. Obviously we have different lenders for that platform. But does that answer your question?
It does. That's a very good answer. Uh, it's nice to hear that a lender would take the time and want to spend it. Hey, let me go out on site with one of your construction managers, or let me learn more about exactly what you're doing. Um, the the other question I had was going back to something, the trivia question that Melissa asked about was the cost of, permitting or regulation or whatever you want to call it. Do you hear these affordable housing? Do you hear talk of affordable housing and just roll your eyes and say, that's not going to happen? If 26% of the current price of a house is based on, and if you're talking about a $500,000 house, that's a lot of money.
Mhm.
Um, 100 grand or whatever it is. Do you think affordable housing and think we're so far away from any kind of meeting any goals that it's almost ludicrous? Or do you think about, okay, we can make an earnest attempt, but it's got to come from, the counties have to stop doing what they're doing, or the cities have to stop doing what they're doing in terms of permitting.
Well, it's really truly we've tried to get away from affordable housing because it affordable is a relative term. What's affordable to one, or what's affordable to a public official is different than what's affordable to a builder necessarily. So we've started using the term attainable housing. So what does attainable housing mean? Attainable housing within the area that you're trying to supply housing to. It's all we have spent a lot of money and a lot of time trying to educate our jurisdictions on this is what you're asking for, but here's what we're faced with. So like you said, Rob, if they don't give us the breaks or if they're not willing to look at their fees and get rid of impact fees and get rid of school fees, find other ways to find that money, it is going to be hard to deliver some of what the general public sees as affordable housing. Attainable housing may be a different story given the area, the market, the city, and so forth. But it's hard. A lot of the builders have come up with their entry level, if you'll call it entry level product. But you're talking about an entry level community that we have. Our entry level product and company is called Reward Homes. It's a builder of Caruso homes, and Rewards most affordable is at 254 in Delaware. So I mean, is that really affordable to one? Maybe, but to the masses is the question. How can we do it? Because we're so undersupplied. How can we do it across the country?
Oh,
Hmm.
I want to build on that a little bit because
Build on that.
ha, we can be funny today. Obviously inventory is a challenge. I know I'm crazy silly. All right. So obviously inventory is a challenge across the whole country. And you just said it. I mean, it's, they often people think of builders as like the solution. But there's a lot of challenges that builders have to face. And that goes everything from kind of local municipalities, impact fees, density restrictions, even just how do I get water and sewer to the neighborhood in some of these cases? What do you feel like, obviously I'll take a step back too. So you talk to a lot of builders at the Raleigh Wake HBA, but also at the NAHB, what are the biggest challenges that they're telling you they're facing, and is it consistent across the whole country?
Good question. I think your consistencies can be found in size of builder and location, but across the board, I think you'll find lot cost, um, workforce development, just not enough workforce, the struggle with that. And well, I said cost of land. Materials have somewhat leveled off. However, I said that 2 weeks ago, and I went into an executive meeting and found out that sheetrock had gone skyrocket through the roof. So day to day, you just don't know. To me, it
Sheetrock.
would be the lot cost and getting the lots on the ground, dealing with all the inspections and passings and the jurisdictions and the lack of workforce that they have, and the workforce development is probably the two hardest, the struggles to get it on the ground fast enough and get it built fast enough.
Another question, Melissa, if you don't mind me interjecting. Without going too far, well, Christy, how long have you been with Caruso?
7 years.
7 years. But before that, you were also doing builder related.
I've been licensed in North Carolina since 1993 as a general brokerage agent, but I've never done general brokerage. I've been with builders my entire career. I've been with public builders, private builders, and regional builders. So I have an interesting background. A lot of folks either stay in the public world but I've been in all the different, aspects of home building. So I've seen a lot of it.
Without going into politics,
Uh-oh.
hopefully. Uh-oh. What'd you think of the verdict yet? No. Without
we're not going to talk about that.
No. Have you noticed that the immigration policies of any administration impact Caruso's or other builders' ability to bring labor in, to have enough labor to build houses?
Sure. No doubt. There's a fine line, it's a balance. But we've had some that have gone back to Mexico because their time had run out and they couldn't get their green card and so forth and so on. And the lack of the high school kids wanting to advance into trades is obviously our focus now from a standpoint of getting more workforce development in our country from the folks that are here. But yes, I would say that it does. It makes a difference because they go back and they may not ever get back in if they go back and visit, and their whole family's typically there most of the time.
Yeah, it's there's no easy solution, obviously, because if there was, somebody would have implemented it already. But yeah, when my kids were getting ready to graduate from high school, I said, look, you can go to college, or you know what, if you want to be a plumber or an electrician or a carpenter, mason, whatever, I'm all behind it. Because I mean, try getting an electrician out to your house. I mean, it's depending on the area that you're in, it can be very difficult. And so it seems like a lot of kids, and I call them kids, but a lot of people, young people, would rather learn how to program, than learn how to swing a hammer. So
You're right. The average age of a electrician and a HVAC contractor and plumber now are anywhere between 48 and 63. 63 being the company owner, and 48 being, the average age of some of our mechanical contractors. So it's crazy. I think we pushed our world to tell our kids to go to college, go to college, go to college. And it created this image of trades that was negative for some reason. But I was at a school graduation in Wake County at a trade school, and a young gentleman was going into welding, and he was going in at a salary of $74,000 entry for welding.
Out of high school.
Out of high school. It is a trades high school.
Yeah.
And so if we can get that out to the kids and get that out to folks to say, you know what, it's good. It's good it's a good education, and it's a good career path. But you're right, Rob, to get an electrician or a plumber or an HVAC, if I could do it again, I might go own an HVAC company and just do government work. I'd be retired by now.
Well, those are also trades that AI will not replace either.
Yes.
So yeah, it's that part is really interesting to me. I mean, we really have a significant gap, and that's one of the reasons that the salary levels are as high as they are, because there is such a demand for those positions, and it's yeah. So it's that part's really exciting to me. I know Raleigh Wake County has HBA has done some partnerships with that school. I'm guessing it's the same school that you were
Mhm.
just talking about.
Yep.
Um, can you tell everybody a little bit more about what they're doing and how they're kind of supporting?
Sure. It's a public school in Wake County that focuses on trades entirely. It goes anywhere from cosmetology to it has welding, it has plumbing, electrician, trying to think, woodworking. We visited the campus. It's pretty cool. It's got like a salon in it for the men and women that are doing cosmetology, and then it's got a house that they're building inside, and that they tear apart and rebuild all the time. And so basically, that's those folks' high school. They go to high school there, and if they want to play sports, they're connected to a sport in their neighborhood that to the public school that has that team. So for example, if they want to play football, they go to the school that they would have gone to had they not gone to the trade school. And another one, Wake Forest High School, has just taken on this path as well. So we're trying to urge the different schools to take it on, but there's obviously a cost to it. So we're trying to work with schools and raise money to help them get these schools established so that there is a path for those to go down that don't necessarily want to go to college.
What's the name of the school?
Ugh, it's Friday, Rob.
Well, that's an unusual name for a school.
Give me just a few minutes. If I don't
All
think
right.
of it before the end, I will send it to Melissa and she can get it out to everybody. But it's
Yeah.
right on I was about to say it, and then I was like, no, it's not that.
The reason why I ask is so, Christy, you don't know me from Adam, but I send this commentary out to a couple dozen folks every day, and every once in a while I'll put in something like the name of that school or the link to that school in this case, and somebody will come up to me years later and say, I read in your commentary about that school and I got in touch with that school. And so I did the same thing here in Phoenix, kind of thing. And, stuff like that is good. You never know.
Really good.
I write things. I mean, I'm not talking about the school, but other things have happened where I'll put something out and somebody will just grab onto it and go with it.
Isn't
Um,
that, isn't it Vernon Malone?
Vernon Malone. I kept thinking Franklin Malone. I was going
all
through
right.
my head. Vernon Malone's trade school, yes. And then
Thank you.
Wake Forest High School has they're starting a path of, workmanship trade classes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Um, One of the things that you talked about in the beginning is Rob was asking you about what you look for in a lender. I thought it was really interesting. You didn't talk about the ones with the lowest rates, the ones with, and I think, it's important for everybody here, obviously, to hear that again. But, are there specific loan products that you feel like are really beneficial to customers right now, home buyers right now that are going through the process? Are there, folks that are getting creative, that are helping, your sales team obviously, sell more homes and putting people into products that make a lot of sense for them?
Well, depending on where the neighborhood's located, USDA is always a great path for people, but the getting it through has not been easy. Getting it through the process. VA is always a challenge for us with appraisals, but we have a ton of VA in a couple of our regions based, out of DC area, that area, and they're always a challenge. These days people are actually fairly savvy about lending. I mean, there are some that know nothing. Um, but I mean, I'd have to go back to the basics. If the most people, when the interest rates went up, when you said ARM, they went, "Oh my God." And there's nothing wrong with an ARM if you educate everybody properly. It was more like, well, you can take the ARM and refinance, or you can wait till the interest rates go down, and then all that's going to happen is the prices are going to skyrocket because it's just, it's yin and yang. So, the government loans are always very helpful, but they're tough.
Yeah.
They're tough to stay on track. So we prefer conventional path because it's much, much easier. But, I rely on my lenders to figure that one out.
You got to do what's best for the customer at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if, you're seeing folks that are, or maybe even your sales team is running up against other builders that are doing some creative kind of
Yeah.
buy down products and things like that are helping, advertise a really low monthly payment versus kind of the price of the home.
Didn't go there because we're a private company, so for us the cost to buy down is pretty high.
Yeah.
We've done it a couple of times and gotten very low results from it. The big guys are doing it aggressively. They're getting a ton of people through the door, but if you talk to them, they're not really going for that program once they get them through the door, if they purchase. So that I thought that was really interesting, because they are aggressively advertising the lower rates, but we've tried it and didn't have a tremendous amount of luck.
How do you get the Caruso name out there? What do you do in terms of marketing?
That is a great question. It's tough. It's very tough because we're in some new markets, and we're in competitive markets like Raleigh, and I was reading somebody's comment, and I see a huge waste of money for the return on investment.
Yeah.
Uh, it's tough to market in a new area where there's a lot of competition, especially like I'll give you Charlotte, for example. We've opened a division in Charlotte, so we don't have a lot of product on the ground. And it's a very competitive market. It's a huge market. So that even makes advertising a little bit tougher. The majority of our advertising was obviously online, digital advertising through, through all the outlets, real estate outlets and so forth. But we have gone back to some conventional advertising, billboards, magazines, signage. We're trying anything and everything now. One, to increase traffic in the areas where we need additional traffic, but two, to just get our name out there in those areas where we're just not known. And as soon as you do something like that, I've noticed other people are now popping up billboards, doing direct mail. I got a direct mail the other day in the mail from a builder, and that's like the first one I've gotten in years. So there's some conventional people going back to some conventional advertising also. But it's really day to day, Rob, managing and looking at what keywords are working, as far as the Google Analytics, moving your money around. If you find a keyword that's working or a keyword that's not working, or a phrase or whatever, and you got to keep your eye on it almost 24/7. I mean, there's a little bit of a delay there, but that's what we've been trying to focus on with our digital
Somehow,
advertising
yeah,
company.
somehow get the word sex in the ad, and that'll your keyword advertising will go up. But I'm sure Melissa knows some knows a very good marketing firm or two that she can hook you up with.
Well, but I think too, one of the things Christy was talking about, like digital marketing, I think probably, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Christy, so you tell me if this strategy has totally changed since I've been in it. But, a lot of it too is just relationships with realtors in the market, making sure
Sure.
in front of them and that they know your product and know where you're at, and, all of those sort of things. Are there things, I'll kind of wrap this up with one last question. Are there things that you guys are doing to try to get in front of those agents? And, you know, are there things that you're concerned about from a NAR settlement perspective that are causing you to tweak that kind of strategy in the future?
So I'm glad you asked that, because I wanted to step back for a moment and go back to the real estate community, because after COVID, it really changed the way that real estate agents and agencies operate.
Mm-hmm.
There were some that never went into the office, but there were a lot of folks that went to an office daily just because their work habit. And after COVID, not to use that COVID as the excuse, but there's a lot of companies now that still do virtual sales meetings. And so it's real. My point to this is it's really hard for builders now to get in front of agents and to do the drop-offs and to do the drop-ins with the ice cream or the sandwich truck or things like that. All that stuff that we builders do. It's just not as easy anymore. So there's a lot more personal outreach. There's some digital outreach once you kind of get your gathering group. Making sure you're reaching out to them on social media or tagging them or having them tag you so that you can increase that relationship. But really, truly, it's more of a one-on-one relationship building process, one at a time rather than mass the way we used to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough though. It's different.
Yeah. I can remember all sorts of incentives on, you know, different commissions or like bonus programs if they sold more than so many homes in a, you know, quarter or year.
Clubs, yeah.
Yep.
Little
Yep.
clubs you could become a part of. Yeah. I'm not overly concerned about the NAR settlement. Realtors are our partners. It is what it is. We'll work around it and work through it. We need realtors to sell homes. They're not going extinct tomorrow or whenever. So we just, if we can find a group, a really good group that believes in us and we believe in them, then we'll always have that business. And then we'll have some that show up because they have a customer that's looked at us or found us on the internet. So, but I think it's more one-to-one.
That's great. I think a lot of our lenders on here can relate.
Yeah.
Challenge of how to get in front of agents that aren't in the office as much as they used to be. So all right. Well, we are all up at time. Christy, thank you so much for joining us. Great conversation. And thanks everybody for putting all your comments in the chat. It was good to see everybody. I hope you have a fantastic weekend and we will see you again here next week. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Yep.